Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing 10 of my favorite books from February through April. If you have been subscribed to my channel for a while, you might have noticed that for a big chunk there, I was pretty absent from YouTube. I had a couple of vlogs go up, but I kind of stopped doing TBR videos and I definitely stopped doing wrap-up videos. So instead of talking about every single book that I read in February, March, and April, I've decided that I'm going to just talk about 10 of them because I did read a ton in those months, but I just didn't, feel like filming videos for my channel. So today I'll be presenting 10 of my favorite books from those 3 months. I do have physical copies of quite a few of the books I'm going to be talking about, but I'm just going to have a photo on the screen of each one. I also don't want this video to be super long, so I'm not gonna go like super in-depth into most of these books that I talk about, but I do just want to kind of, share what I've been reading recently over the last couple of months and share why I loved these books. So, to just go ahead and jump right in, the first book that I'm going to be talking about is Haunting Adeline. This is a very dark romance. There are lots of trigger warnings to it. I will have them listed in the description down below, but personally, I loved this book. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty bored for some pretty big chunks of it, but the way that the story started and it all like wrapped up in a cliffhanger, I just kind of grew obsessed with it. I think that this is probably one of the darkest romances that I've ever read, but I kind of loved it and I'm super excited to read the last book in the duet, the second book in the duet, which is called Hunting Adeline. I do have it on my shelf somewhere hiding. I have the first one as well sitting up here, but haven't read the second one yet, but I really want to this summer. I gave this book 5 stars. I don't know if I said that when I first introduced the book. Second is Breaking Perfect. I also have this book somewhere on my shelf, but like I mentioned, not gonna pull it out. This is a romance about a married couple who are having some issues just with like communication stuff. When the husband's best friend comes back into town to find him, they end up entering into a relationship with the 3 of them, and this book was so good and it made me cry. Again, this is a pretty heavy book at times, so there are lots of trigger warnings to it. I will also have those listed in the description down below, but I thought this book was super beautiful. I thought it dealt with OCD in a very good way. And I would definitely do a reread of it. I actually did buy the physical book in the hopes of rereading it later. I read it on my Kindle originally, and like I was laying in bed and I was just like trying not to cry because like it was so good. So that is another favorite book from the last couple of months. Third is a middle grade fantasy called The Second Most Haunted Hotel on Mercer Street, or it's The Second Best Haunted Hotel on Mercer Street. I always forget which way it goes. But this, as I mentioned, is a middle grade fantasy featuring ghosts. It is about this young girl who is in charge of her family's hotel, and her family's hotel caters to tourists who want to be spooked. They want to see ghosts because in this world that was created, ghosts are pretty common and people like to see them. So when a chain hotel that offers the same attractions featuring ghosts opens up, the main character, she has to find a way to beat this other hotel or else her hotel will be closing. And so she becomes friends with a ghost from the other hotel and they just work together, and it was super fun, super awesome, so magical but like kind of spooky without being really scary. This is probably one of the best middle grade books that I've read in a long time, if ever. So I gave this book 5 stars, of course. It was really sad at times. I actually remember tearing up during this one. I do have a vlog where I read this, which I'll tag above. But I thought that this book was so much fun, so spooky, but like the perfect read for middle schoolers, but also like people in high school and college and adults. Like I'm out of college now, but I would totally read this book again. So I'd recommend this one as well. Another favorite from the last couple months is It Happened One Summer. This is a contemporary romance about I don't remember anybody's names anymore, but I promise that these books were amazing. This is about a young woman who is forced by her dad to spend the summer in this small fishing town after being very dramatic back home and like causing some problems, causing some scandal and some drama. She ends up meeting this guy who is a widower, and they're kind of like not fans of each other at first, but they end up getting closer, and this book was just so heartwarming. It was super spicy. Tessa Bailey does such a good job at putting emotions, but also like super spice in every book that she writes. Loved it. I think the main character's name was Adrian. I really don't remember what his name was, but like he was awesome. Like there were some scenes that like I was listening to the audiobook for this one, and like I was like giggling like around the house. It was fun. Around the apartment, wherever I was when I was listening to it. This was a really fun one. I do want to read the sequel, which is called Hook, Line, and Sinker, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I gave this one 5 stars as well. Next is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. This is a mystery thriller about this girl who goes to Paris to find her brother. And yeah, when she gets there, he's gone. And so she's trying to find him, figure out what happened to him. The people in the apartment where he lives are very shady and they have a lot of secrets. And I thought that this book was super atmospheric and creepy. I gave this one 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is my favorite book by Lucy Foley so far. I have read the guest list as well, which I really enjoyed. I think a lot of people tend to favor the guest list to The Paris Apartment, but personally for me it was the other way around. I love the short chapters. I love the twists and the turns. Honestly, everything that happened I didn't see coming. So I love this one. I'm so honored to have gotten a physical arc of it. It is in my closet. I will never get rid of that one. I'm going to keep it for forever because I loved that book. I also really loved Voyeur, which I believe is by Fiona Cole. This is a romance about a student and her professor, but it's so much more than that. This book also hurt my heart a lot. The main male character goes through a lot in this book, has a lot of trauma from past abuse. And I really appreciated seeing that. And I really appreciated watching our main female character come alongside him and stand by him through and in that trauma. I just thought that it was a beautiful story. Would recommend. I gave this one 5 stars as well, I'm pretty sure. I will have triggers for all of these in the comments down below or in the description down below. I am kind of blanking on some of them right now, but most of these I have written reviews for, so I'll have all of the content warnings down below. I also read I Am Margaret Moore in April, and I gave this book 5 stars. My opinion on this one is very unpopular because a lot of people read it and aren't huge fans of it. I have the arc sitting right here. This book is a young adult thriller about this girl named Hannah who spent her summers at this naval academy, and something happens between her and a boy, and it's bad and it gets worse. And I thought that this book was just a really beautiful and lyrical way to tell a story of anger and heartbreak and revenge. This book is a young adult thriller, as I think I already mentioned, but I cried during it, which I feel like I don't normally do in thrillers. I have cried or teared up when reading horror books, but not in thrillers, I don't think. So the fact that this book made me emotional, super emotional, just really hit home for me and made me realize that it's a very powerful book in my opinion, and is one that I want to share with others because I think that other people should be reading it as well. It is not a super popular book, but I loved it and I will be pushing it to other people for a very long time. I feel like I'm speeding through these ones super fast. I just wanted to recap the last couple months really fast. The next one is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. This is a contemporary fiction / romance about Faye, who lost her husband in a car accident several years back. And since losing him, she hasn't been able to find herself in another serious relationship. And so basically this book is about finding new love and trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone and remembering the past but not letting it define your present and your future. And this book was just amazing. I gave this one 5 stars as well. I was so honored to receive an arc on NetGalley and a physical arc of this one. I knew going into it that I was going to love it just based off the synopsis. I really enjoyed The Death of Vivek Oji, which is one of the author's other books. I think that they are a phenomenal writer and would definitely recommend. So I knew going into this one that it had very high potential for me, and I had a feeling that I was going to love it. And of course, I did. Similar to a lot of these other books, it made me feel so many emotions. I related to Faye so hard, even though I haven't been through to the same extent of a lot of the same things that she went through. I haven't been through to the same extent, but I can still relate to her and the feelings that she felt and the grief and the emotions that she had bubbled up inside of her. And yeah, as I really loved reading about her growth and finding love in someone who might have been unexpected, but like it was still super beautiful. And yeah, loved it. This book actually comes out today. No, it comes out tomorrow. Today is Monday, May 23rd, and this book comes out on Tuesday, the 24th. Would recommend getting this one now that it will be on shelves once this video gets uploaded. I think that this one has the potential to be one of my favorites of all time, definitely of 2022. Love this book so much, and I'm super excited to see it out on shelves this week. I might have to go get a physical copy, physical hardback, as well as my physical arc that I have. Anyway, love that one, 5 stars. Next is another spicy romance. I was again honored to receive an arc of Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert on NetGalley. I have had the opportunity to read Neon Gods and Electric Idol on NetGalley as well. I have signed copies, or I have a signed copy of Electric Idol right here, and then I did buy Neon Gods physically as well, just because both of those books were 5 stars for me, and because I loved both books so much, I knew that I was gonna love Wicked Beauty. It was just bound to happen. So Wicked Beauty is fantasy romance with kind of a Hunger Games-esque vibe atmosphere to it. Basically, this book is about Helen and Achilles and Patroclus, Achilles and Patroclus are in a relationship, and they have been for years. It's kind of an open relationship, but they also like love each other. And I think they're both committed for the long haul. Achilles really wants to become the new Eris, which is one of the like top gods in the world that this book takes place in. I forget the name of the city. But anyway, so he is about to enter into this competition for that position that just opened up because the old Eris, whoever died. Helen also wants to be the new god and take over this position. So she puts her name into the competition behind her brother's back because her brother, who is the new Zeus, this is so complicated. You probably need to read the other 2 books before reading this one, but they are technically all standalones, just companion novels. Anyway, I am rambling so bad. So the new Zeus tells everybody that, like in front of the live audience, in front of people at this party, that whoever wins this new position will get to marry Helen. Well, Helen didn't know anything about this ahead of time. She is ticked off. So she goes behind her brother's back, enters her name into this competition, and her and Achilles and Patroclus, who is also in the competition, just as kind of like a sidekick for Achilles, they are all in this competition together, and the spice is big on this one. It was so fun getting to see Achilles and Patroclus have their own relationship, but also be so open to falling in love with Helen. So good. This book, it took me a long time to read. I think I was reading it for almost a month, but for some reason I wasn't in the mood to pick this one up for a long time. But when I did, I read like half of the book in one day and kind of became obsessed with these 3 characters in their story. I could totally understand and feel for the insecurities that Patroclus was struggling with regarding his relationship with Achilles. I understood, like the fear that was hiding there for him. And I thought that this story was so beautiful. It was so spicy. Achilles has like a dirty mouth on him, but I was kind of obsessed. Love this book, gave it 5 stars. I will be getting a signed copy from Katie Robert actually, so I cannot wait to have that added to my shelf. This book is not out yet, but it does come out in June. And then the last book, number 10 of my top 10 favorites, is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is an adult sapphic romance with a time travel element, a time travel trope in it. Not usually a huge fan of those. So I was pretty nervous going into this one, but I ended up pleasantly surprised. I gave this book 4 stars, but I still really loved it. I had the audiobook for this, which helped immensely. It did take me a while to get into it, but I really fell in love with the character's name is August, and I loved her friend group, and I loved her determination to help Jane figure out like what was wrong and why Jane was stuck on this subway, just on a loop. I really enjoyed Red, White, and Royal Blue. I had One Last Stop for almost a year, I think, because I think it came out last summer. I've had it on my shelf for a very long time before finally taking the plunge and picking it up. And I'm so glad that I did. I actually recently purchased I Kissed Shara Wheeler because that came out recently, and after loving One Last Stop and then Red, White, and Royal Blue as well, I just really wanted to add another of their books to my collection. So I haven't read that one yet, but the cover is adorable. I have it on my dresser over here, and yeah, so excited about that one. That is a young adult one, whereas One Last Stop is a little bit spicy because it is an adult romance or adult contemporary. So there are a couple of spicy moments in this one, but like I was not expecting them personally. And I was just sitting there like, oop, when they were happening. So huge fan of this book. It did take me a while to get into, but I did end up really enjoying it. So I'm so glad that I finally picked it up because it was just sitting on my shelf for way too long and I just kept on ignoring it. And I really should not have done that because amazing, spectacular. So that was a very rapid overview, a very quick glimpse into what I have been reading for the last couple of months. These books were all phenomenal. I would recommend all of them. Of course, not everyone is going to be for everybody, and I totally get that, but these were just some of my favorites. For the books that do have trigger warnings, which is probably almost all of them, I will have them listed in the description down below. I love sharing those with people just so that they are aware before going into a book that they might be interested in. I am hoping to kind of get back in the groove of doing TBR videos and wrap-ups. I say that now, but they're not my favorite videos to film or edit or upload. So I might not, I don't know, we'll see what happens. I might just do more videos of this where I just give an overview of a bunch of the books that I have been reading recently and just kind of talk about them and obsess over them and freak out over what I've had the opportunity to read. So that is all for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.